Hi everyone, just a short video today about cord magic and knot magic, which is something that we discuss on the podcasts and the worksheets, but I just wanted to go into a little bit more detail. So cords essentially can represent any connection between one thing and another. So they can be used to connect people, situations. One example of cord use in magic is actually within the coven setting, the cord around the waist. This is an example, this is my one. And normally the cord is made up of different colours, and those colours can be related to the coven that you're in, and can also be related to the initiations that you've gone through. Normally the cord is 9 foot long, so it also acts as a way of measuring your sacred space, because traditionally the magic circle would be 9 foot in diameter. So I don't tend to wear a robe at all anymore, but I do use my cord. It's something that you can get away with wearing quite easily in any setting. When it's not in use, it hangs in my house, sort of as a warding and protection next to my door, and I tend to hang charms on it. So I mean, I've been using horse brasses for years in magic. It's something which has seen a bit of a recent revival, I think due to the interest in traditional witchcraft recently, but I've always used horse brasses. I've got lots around my house which I've been collecting over the years, and I tend to, depending on what I'm up to through the year, I tend to hang one of my brasses on there, and actually that can still be worn around the waist. This sort of cord can also be used for on-the-spot magic, so we can do knot magic with it, as long as it's not something that has to be destroyed, and it doesn't matter if we undo it afterwards, obviously, or it can actually be knotted and left in the cord that you're going to wear, so that the magic stays with you until it's come to fruition. So that's something good that you can do with that. This particular cord, as I say, was part of the coven that I was initiated into. The first degree is represented by the white, the second degree by the green, and the third degree by the red. And so obviously it came together as one plaited cord. The other thing that you can do with knot magic, as I say, everybody is familiar with the nine knot spell, but there's so much more to cords that you can use. So one of them is actually, I mean, this reminds me of friendship bracelets back in school, but is the use of smaller cords for plaiting or knotting, as a way of focusing your intention while you were doing some sort of magic. Now, this piece was actually related to working with the Web of Weird, and so this obviously took some time to put together using wire, and this was the final part of the magic, which was plaiting this little cord up to go with it, and that tends to hang in a sacred space, actually on one of my statues, and it's just it's a connection I was working with at the time, to work with the Web of Weird and to increase my connection to it. So that's something that we can use with cords and pieces of thread. Another thing is something like this, the hagstone knot, sometimes referred to as the witch's ladder, which is a little bit incorrect. The witch's ladder is actually made of feathers interwoven into the cord, but this makes, I don't know if you can see that actually, this makes a really good charm for the house. It offers protection from spirits, and it's just a really nice reminder of your tradition. Now I choose to hang that in my house with this globe. Now this is actually a float, a fishing float, but it can also be used as a witch ball, which deflects spirits and brings good intention into the house. So that just hangs in various places in my house. Sometimes I move it around, but obviously the process of binding these hagstones on was you know, it wasn't an immediate thing. I found the stones and I tied one on, and then a few weeks later I found another stone and I tied that one, and so on and so forth. You know, please don't buy them off of the internet. Please find them when you can, when you're out on the beach or walking in the countryside. There's more out there than you would think. But they are very, very traditional charms for good luck and protection. Another use for cords, again in a coven setting, is the cable tow, which is related to initiation. And I won't go into that too much because that's sort of going into the realms of initiatory witchcraft and Wicca, traditional Wicca, rather than sort of what most people consider as Wicca today, which is to do with the binding of the initiate. And this is sometimes seen as sort of quite a derogatory or sort of like a kinky thing, which Gardner came up with, and it's not. That there are lots of other historical references to binding and use of cords, restriction and that sort of thing within initiation, and placing people in situations of vulnerability as they were working from one level to another. The last thing I mentioned today is a really good way of breaking a connection between yourself and another person or a situation. So as I said right at the beginning of the video, cords can be used to represent a connection between people. So if you take a piece of cord, ideally not your initiation cord, such as this one, and you wrap it round one candle and you wrap the other end round the other candle, and as those candles burn down, so the cord will burn, and that connection between the two people or that person and the situation is broken. So that's just a little summary in terms of what we can do with cords. There's lots more, but I would encourage you to have a go, because they're a really powerful yet really simple way of doing magic.